Hi, it's El Phoenix. I'm coming to you from a very foggy Front Royal on a beautiful September morning. This morning, as I was going through my Facebook feed, I came across a Jimmy Carter poster. And Jimmy Carter said that as he grew older, he was less obsessed with the things that you can see, the things of the material world, like your office, your car, your house, the stuff that you buy at stores. And he was much more interested in the things of the soul. And he didn't really go into what those things were, but I was thinking about what are the things of the soul. Things of the soul are the things that bring you closer to God and that bring you closer to other human souls. I think we all know what things of the body are. We all know what it means to be obsessed with material things. But we often find ourselves feeling trapped by the habits that we're in, the place that we live, the car that we drive, the friends that we have. And it's hard to get away. It's hard to get away from this obsession. I was thinking about it a little bit recently because we're trying to sell our old house in a suburb of Washington, D.C. And these houses all sell for anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million. It's a very high income area when you're very close to a city. So when we met with the realtor, she was looking around our house and talking about all the things that needed to be upgraded. She was looking at, for example, our kitchen cabinets. Now, this house is about 30 years old, and it has the original cabinets. And I love these cabinets. I don't know when original became old, and I don't know when updated became a term of great meaning and wonderment and promise and beauty. Just because you update something, just because you go out and spend $40,000 on new cabinets doesn't make those cabinets better. That's what I kept thinking as I was looking at the old, terribly old original cabinets that I still think look good in the house. And she was going around talking about all the things that were going to make the house not sell. She was saying the bathrooms are old, they haven't been updated. And the carpet the carpet actually was old, and we actually did rip the carpet up and put new carpet in because my children had written in crowns all over the carpet. I hope it's only my children that write in crowns, and your kids don't write in crowns on carpets, but my kids write in crowns on carpets. And in fact, I think I did it too, accidentally, because I'd be drawing on the ground with the kids with pastels, and the floors would end up looking like rainbow colored, very pretty, but not good when you're selling a house. But what I loved about the house was not the old cabinets and the old bathroom and the old this and that and the other, because I didn't think it was old. I thought it was just right. I thought it was comfortable. I thought it was lived in. But what I liked about the old house was the view. It had a view very similar to this because the house was settled in a forest. And I used to love to sit in the family room. I used to love to sit in my office when I was working and just look at the trees and the creek in the back. That is what makes my soul feel good when I'm connected with nature. And now I'm living out in the mountains and made the very conscious decision as part of building a ministry that I really needed to downsize. And the kids and I have tried very hard to get used to having 1,200 square feet instead of 2,700 square feet, which we really didn't need. We're also getting used to having 1.5 bathrooms instead of 3 or 4. Now, our old house actually had 2.5. But we're getting used to a whole different way of living. And what I'm finding is that we're finding a lot of joy. We have all made some sacrifices, and it's the kind of thing that Jimmy Carter was talking about. The other thing that I was thinking about is how we spend our time. And we can get obsessed with the things of the body. That means that we can get obsessed with playing video games. We can get obsessed with keeping up with the latest TV shows. We can get obsessed clicking on the same thing on Bejeweled Blitz or Farmville or any of the other adult-oriented video games. And when we do this, we end up filling our time with things that are not good for our souls, that do not allow us to connect with the divine that's inside of ourselves. And the other thing about things of the body is they get to be addictive. We all get addicted to shopping. We all will end up at these huge big box stores with the rows upon rows of pretty colors and exciting promises of of the products that are being offered there. We all get obsessed with it. I noticed it even last month when the kids and I were shopping for a new SUV. And for days afterwards, all we would do was talk about the cars that we were seeing on the road. Instead of talking about, usually I spend our time in the car either listening to music or trying to teach something spiritually to the kids, because it's a great alone time for us. It's one of the few times when there are no other distractions. If you want to get connected to yourself and get closer to God and get closer to other souls, you need to disconnect from all the things that appeal to what Rumi called your donkey or your carnal soul. What is the donkey or carnal soul? Rumi, by the way, is one of my favorite poets. He was a mystic poet in the 13th century, and he also wrote some holy scriptures. I believe that he was very much inspired by God. And he wrote these great scriptures, and in them he talks about what we all know as the part of our soul that is attracted by bright colors, that is attracted by rich foods, that is attracted by drinking and drugs, that is attracted by shopping, that is attracted by all the things of the body. And also all the things of the mind, but not things of the soul. And the neat thing about calling all that, you could call it your carnal soul as well, and Rumi sometimes did. But the neat thing about calling it our donkey soul, and it's a way that I teach my kids now thanks to Rumi, is that a donkey is a perfect symbol or a perfect metaphor for the part of ourself that is very stupid and very stubborn and very stuck a lot of times in crass materialism or consumption, or playing that video game where you push the button again and again to find the treasure. We do that in our own lives as well. We are constantly going to the store looking for enlightenment, satisfaction, and happiness, and not finding it there. We will never find true happiness in anything that we buy from a store or from a retailer. You know, like when you buy a car, right? You finally buy that dream car of yours. I used to have it. I used to have an incredibly gorgeous red sports car, an Audi TT, when I practiced law. I love that car. I did. But I remember the first couple nights I came home from buying it, I would sneak out into the garage and stare at that car and just feel some joy, a lot of joy. But after a few days, I saw the little TT, and I'd kind of smile at it, but I'd go on with whatever was in my life, whether it was worrying about a client or worrying about a relationship that I was in, or worrying about money, or worrying about any of the other things, worrying about how my body looked. I remember that was a big thing back in that day. I was so worried about whether I would be accepted and loved because of how I was dressed, how I talked, but most especially as a woman in the 21st century, I was so worried about whether I would be loved because of how I look. Now that I'm not obsessing about the things of the body, now that I'm not listening to my donkey soul and letting it run me, I'm really not worried so much about all these things, and I have so much more time to focus on God, but I also have so much more time to focus on my personal relationships. And I also have a lot more time to enrich my soul. I try to read scriptures every day. And if it's not scriptures, hey, look, y'all, if you don't like the Bible, don't worry about it. Find something different. You can find God, and you can find inspiration from God in all sorts of poetry. Like I said, I love Rumi. I love Whitman. I love Byron. I love Samuel Taylor Coleridge. I love Thoreau. I love Emerson. I love Coleman Barks, who's one of the best translators of Rumi from this century. So what I try to do every day, especially like in the mornings after I take the kids to school, is I try to sit with either a work of poetry or a work from Holy Scriptures. And again, if you hate the Bible, pick up something different. Pick up the Mahabharata, which is the Indian scriptures, the Gita, which was what Gandhi called his Bible. Pick up some of the Sufi mystics like Rumi. He really is amazing. If you want something more challenging or lyrical, grab some Dante. Or just grab some beautiful poetry that'll allow you to connect to things better of the soul. The other thing that you really can do is to step away from your computer, to step away from your TV, to step away from things that are colorful, that really feed into your donkey soul, and step outside into nature. The best temple and the best place to connect with God and with the divine that lives inside of you really is outside. And whether you're taking a walk or going for a run or gardening, or just sit outside and looking at the clouds and seeing the hand of God or the hand of these neat angels that designed everything up in the clouds, you're getting closer to God. You're getting closer to the things that matter. You're getting closer to the things that are eternal. Because, see, all these things that we create as human beings, these houses, these huge stores, could get wiped out in a heartbeat by any of a number of things and then not be here anymore. There's been so many civilizations that have existed here on Earth that aren't here anymore. So we think that what we have and what we create with our human hand is permanent, but it's not. But the things that are permanent are the things that are created by God. And when you're outside, you're connecting to something that is very old and very eternal and very beautiful. You're also disconnecting from the things that distract you from the things that really matter. The other thing that you can really do to connect with your soul is to help other people. One of my favorite slogans that I think actually comes from the drug and alcohol recovery movement is, if you want to get your mind off your own problems, help fix someone else's problems. What I always find in every time I'm miserable and every time I'm upset about something, or every time that I'm feeling crushed or worried or whatever, if I go out and help somebody, I immediately feel better. There are so many people out there in the world that need your help. It doesn't have to be a refugee from Syria. It doesn't have to be a starving kid from Africa. It can be somebody in your own community. It can be that friend that you really know you should call and check on because they're going through something, but every time you get on the phone with them or check on them, seems like it takes 2 hours. You can still write them a note. You can still call them, and you can control the conversation. That's one of the things I'm learning as I get older, is I do have control over things that I feel like I don't have control over. And one of those things is how long a conversation goes on for. You can also drive down to the local Salvation Army or actually drive past the person that's begging on the street and stop and give them a few dollars, or drive them to a food store and get them some food. There's so many things that you can do to help make the world better that will make you feel better as a soul, because, see, we're all connected. We're all here trying to walk one another home. And when we help other people, friends, we feel better. It also comes back to you, but that's not the reason that you should help people. You should not help people hoping to get your chit checked in the karmic handbook that we all have, because, friends, what we do does come around, and certainly one reason to help other people is that goodness does come back to you. But the main reason to help other people is just because it's good. And when you do good, you feel good. You feel a lot better when you do good and help somebody than when you play some silly video game or watch some TV show that's depressing and horrendous and shows how horrific humanity is. You also feel better, and I mean in a deep soul way, helping someone else and doing good than you feel, say, watching your favorite football team or soccer team or baseball team or basketball team. I used to spend hours watching sports, and it seemed so important until I realized that these games were children's games in a children's playground, and they didn't really matter, no more than what kind of car I drove or what kind of house I lived in, or any of those things matter. Anything that keeps us apart from other souls, makes us somehow feel superior to other souls, or makes us obsess about our donkey souls, about the things of the body, is really not good for us. I really liked what Jimmy Carter said. I really like what he's doing as a soul in the twilight of his life. He's dying. He's dying of brain cancer, I believe, and probably a couple of other different cancers. And I'll be very sorry to see him go, because he really is a good soul. But don't wait for the end of your lifetime to start living the life that you should be living as a soul. You don't need to be dying of cancer to live every day as if it's important. God bless you. I love you all. I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye.